Hey guys, and welcome to the Working Money Channel. All right, we got Crypto Eddie at Sentosumo Saba here congratulating Vivo Power. Your signed deal with the Flare networks utilizing XRP was just the beginning. You advance further with the $308 million direct NASDAQ spinoff of Cardat Digital and completed the first phase on Friday of a $60.5 million investment. So there's a lot going on with Vivo Power. Recently, they did just partner up with the country of Saudi Arabia as well. If you guys didn't catch the video I did on that, I will link that up here in the top right-hand corner. But here we have the briefing, okay, from Fidelity. I will link this in the description of the video for you, just kind of highlighting what these guys have achieved thus far. Crypto Eddie, though, does sum it up quite well. Bullish on Flare and the Flare networks. Don't forget, too, guys, that this is not just another Monday. If you're watching this video on the day that I'm releasing it, it's the quiet rollout of something huge, the voluntary testing phase of ISO 20022 on Fedwire. Now, remember, November 2025 is the drop-dead deadline for ISO 20022 implementation around the world. And so we're seeing, certain organizations testing it out. In this particular case, the date here, June the 23rd, that is today. If you guys are watching this video on the day that I'm releasing it, the global rails are quietly being rebuilt. Legacy systems aren't falling with a crash. They are being replaced line by line, while most aren't looking. For those, though, who've been paying attention, it is no surprise. For many, though, this will feel like it came out of nowhere. A new financial era doesn't begin with fanfare. It slips through the updates no one reads. Watch closely because most won't. And so this is a tweet originally tweeted out by Strong SHX, and this was tweeted out about a week ago, from June the 23rd to July the 11th. Okay, so that is the time period there. Voluntary period testing kicks off for the new ISO 20022 format with Fedwire using DTCC. You guys can see that there. And by July the 14th, the new ISO 20022 messaging system using Fedwire will be implemented. Okay, so voluntary testing, as you guys can see, June the 23rd until July the 11th from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time each business day. Note that not all payment banks may support additional voluntary testing. But guys, by July the 14th, that is in just 2-3 weeks away now, this is finally going to be implemented on Fedwire. Fedwire, as you guys know, does have a Finastra connection and a Valente connection, both leveraging XRPL technology. So very positive news there. Wanted to thank Strong SHX just for posting that. We also have, some more questions, I guess, about the XRP lawsuit, XRP Ripple SEC lawsuit, to be specific. Altcoin Bail originally posting this just yesterday. Breaking: SEC versus Ripple final decision could be delayed until late 2026. But Bill Morgan here saying, this is not in the cards unless Judge Torres rules against the latest joint motion, and rather than make the common sense decision to live with the summary judgment decision and the current penalty and permanent injunction, the settlement process breaks down completely and both parties run their appeals. An improbable outcome. So Bill Morgan not thinking it's going to happen. Ural also commenting, not liking the word improbable when associating with the SEC versus Ripple, especially when you throw in Judge Torres. Bill, the word improbable statistically lowers the probability of good outcomes by about 25%. And when you throw Judge Torres' name into the mix, it lowers the good outcome by another 30%. I don't know about you, Bill, but that puts the probability of a favorable outcome up to less than 50%. Maybe I need more coffee. And Bill just commenting down here that it is not impossible. Hopefully the statistics are actually lower than that. Hopefully the outcome is that, Judge Torres will decide, no, this makes sense. Decision is to not have this drag out any longer than it needs to drag out for. I mean, guys, it's been, almost 5 years since the SEC did sue Ripple. Hopefully we don't see this drag out anymore, but I wanted to thank Bill for posting that. Crypto Eddie also commenting on the CEO of BitGo. He was talking about Ripple and XRP and the idea of XRP FI, spot XRP ETFs, XRP treasury strategies, and more innovators and builders. Yes, this is development on the XRP ledger. This is what U.S. financial systems need. This is what global financial systems are striving towards. Listen to this.
As a stablecoin business, you don't need, but do you want a master account?
At a Fed master account? Yeah, we'd love a Fed master account. Then we get to skip the banks. So if you go back in time in digital assets about 10 years, there's this company Ripple, you might have heard of them. They had originally decided they were going to try to tackle cross-border payments by use of their XRP token. And so the idea was that they would become the rails between banks, and then you would have a local on-ramp where you take dollars, convert it to XRP, zip it across the world, and then convert those XRP back to Mexican pesos or whatever. It turns out that's two conversions, right? And USD stablecoins are just better. So in fact, Ripple just launched a stablecoin, a US dollar-backed stablecoin. There's some talk in different countries about getting a euro-backed stablecoin. And in fact, there is one. EuroC, Circle has one. None of these have really taken off a lot yet. And I think it's because they're still just trying to get traction. But I do think we're going to see dollars become more of the rails across the world. I know there's a few countries that don't like dollars, but they'll probably get beaten into submission for it. So imagine as a retail user of this, you put your money into the stablecoin. It's one-to-one backed. There's an audit that comes out twice a month that shows that it's one-to-one backed. At the end of each month, some coins get airdropped into your digital account, which is your interest on that. And if you ever need to send it to anybody, you can send it to everybody. At the farmer's market, you can tap two phones together and pay the producer of the food. At the coffee shop, you can use the point-of-sale mechanism. It just works super simple. Peer-to-peer plus peer to intermediary. I mean, the great thing about peer-to-peer is that it covers everybody. You can go into retail to business, retail to retail, business to business. It all works, yeah.
So a few things there that Mike Belshie does say. He is, again, the BitGo CEO. Very bullish on Ripple and XRP, very bullish on the technology, of course. He's saying, stable coins, they're going to be the intermediary with for transactions around the world still. Now, there is a contested opposing viewpoint to that, and I'm going to get into that later on in this video. But I mean, let's just focus on the technology for a second. The technology is there. We can do P2P, B2B, B2P, P2B, and so on and so forth. Basically, all parties involved can transact using the XRP ledger in seconds, sending whatever it is that you want to send over the XRP ledger, whether it's a stablecoin or XRP, other kinds of crypto. And this, guys, is also going to extend to other tokenized assets, which we will also talk about in a second here. But first, I wanted to just make a point to say that Ripple partner dLocal did recently just get another payment license. I feel like 2025 is the year of payment licenses from established Ripple companies now, or established Ripple partners, I guess I should say. dLocal, a cross-border payment platform focused on emerging markets, has secured key regulatory approvals from the United Arab Emirates, Turkey, and the Philippines. The new licenses are a step in the company's global growth and compliance strategy. In the Philippines, dLocal received a money services business license, which will allow them to operate remittance flows in the country. The Philippines is a major market for overseas remittances, making the license a strategic asset for the company. Expanding our licenses footprint in key high-growth markets like the UAE, Turkey, and the Philippines is essential to our mission of unlocking the power of emerging markets and connecting financially underserved populations to the global digital economy. So just another Ripple-connected company here, one of the older partners, dLocal. We've heard Airwallex get a license. We've heard Flutterwave get licenses. We've heard... I mean, there's so many to even count, but now dLocal guys getting major licenses in these major countries. 2025, I'm going to dub the year of acquiring payment licenses because, well, I mean, this is just great. It's going to be great for XRP adoption around the world if all these companies can now expand and scale out from their initial markets. So great news there. The great switch is happening, guys. This courtesy of Smoke. Companies and banks are adopting blockchain, and it has been documented for a while. Earlier, I was talking about the ISO 20022 standard and how today is the day that Fedwire is starting their tests, okay? By November 2025, if you guys didn't already know, all financial institutions must switch from the legacy SWIFT standard to this new ISO 20022 standard, which holds more data and is expected to enhance interoperability between banks. As banks prepare for this transition, planning development schedules, assign technology resources, and securing funds, there is an opportunity to maximize the return on investment. So it's not just an efficiency thing, guys. It's going to essentially be better for everybody. Once we do tokenize on chain, once everything becomes tokenizable, well, the game is going to change. And even David Schwartz says it in not so many words here. Listen to this.
A lot of folks from different aspects of the Ripple ecosystem here. We have institutional players. You and I were talking. There are retail investors here. There are folks who are building on the chain. Talk to me about witnessing these community members coming together. What does that mean for you to see folks from really kind of different sides of the spectrum come together?
I think that's one of the great things about Apex. Apex was originally envisioned as a developer get-together, primarily for people who were building to share, technical insights and talk about strategy for, future development. And then it expanded to include retail XRP holders and people who are just enthusiastic about the space and interested in the technology. And I think the big change this year is that you see representatives of institutions who are looking to bring things like tokenized real-world assets onto the blockchain. And I think that's the big thing that's going to catalyze that next wave of adoption, that real mass growth that we're all hoping to see.
Talk to me about the innovation that's happening. And you're the co-creator of the chain, so I want to get into your head a little bit. What are some of the most important innovations that are happening on XRP Ledger?
I think that if we are going to see the sort of mass adoption of the blockchain space and DeFi broadly speaking, it's going to have to provide the kind of financial services that ordinary people need. Collectibles are great and speculation in very high risk assets is interesting. But, if you think about what people need a financial system for, they need things like loans, they need payments, they need sensible investments, retirement funds, all of those kinds of things. And I think the most exciting developments are the ones that are going to build those pieces that we need for the DeFi and blockchain space to really take a bite out of that multi-trillion-dollar TradFi market.
From a technical perspective, what needs to happen for us to get there?
I think the big thing is being able to support things like tokenized real-world assets, portfolios of loans, fractional ownership, all of the sort of complexities around the real-world holding of assets. If we can do that, then I think we can compete with TradFi, and that's that's a multi-trillion-dollar market. It's hundreds of times the current DeFi market.
A multi-trillion-dollar market. Now, let me just get into that for a second, guys. The TradFi market is massive, estimated to be worth approximately $1 quadrillion USD, according to LSEG. So think of that, guys. If XRP can even just take, 14% of that pie? Well, no, those were the Swift numbers, but 5%, 10%, that is a huge amount, and I have a feeling that it's going to take more than that. This encompasses a wide range of financial activities and institutions, including banks, insurance companies, stock exchanges, and more. While the total market is vast, the market for tokenized real-world assets, or RWAs, within TradFi, which represents a growing convergence with the decentralized financial system, is still relatively small, estimated at around $22.6 billion, according to R3. So overall TradFi market, estimated to be worth around $1 quadrillion USD. Rapidly growing segment, of course, the traditional market capitalization of tokenized assets is about $22.6 billion. Growth potential, though, guys, digital asset management firm 21.co predicts that the market for tokenized assets could grow as large as $10 trillion by the year 2030, as traditional financial institutions increasingly adopt blockchain tech. And we are going to see this convergence, and I don't think it's going to be so obvious when we do see it. I think, there are going to be, I think there's going to be a lot of overlap, to be honest. I don't think it's going to be, unless they plan a big black swan event where everything does shut down, and then it's one of those flip of the switch moments where we do see everything change overnight. If that happens, well, then that's going to happen that way. But if we roll it out in a way that is, I think, a little bit more, it's going to be a little bit more palatable for people. What we will see is we'll see this changing over time, and we will see Ripple and XRP gain 1%, then 3% maybe, then 5%, then 10%, then 15%, so on and so forth. And at that point, we will see XRP grow over the years. Now, guys, there's another aspect to this that I wanted to mention, and it's this idea that the US dollar has now effectively been replaced as the world reserve currency, maybe under our noses, even though we're not being told that this is the reality of the situation. This one courtesy of Michael Branch. So this goes back to what Mike Belshey was saying here. Stablecoins and transacting in the US dollar. Stablecoin is going to be, it's still going to be prevalent globally, even if the US dollar isn't considered the world's reserve currency. So let me read you guys a little bit of this. Economist and best-selling author Nassim Taleb says a single asset has overtaken the US dollar's position as the world's de facto reserve currency. In a new interview with Bloomberg, the Black Swan author says the US dollar has lost its status as a reliable safe haven asset, noting that people prefer to invest in the stock market rather than hold a currency that declines in value over time.
Well, I'm just saying that this is an event, a default that would trigger, an instantaneous drop. But it's harder to hedge against something like the slowing decline of the dollar.
Yeah, but okay, so that is but that would end up being reflected in stocks. the slow decline of the dollar. And effectively, the second risk, so the first one is the deficit. The second one is effectively that the dollar is losing its status as a reserve currency.
What proof do you have of that, though?
You can see the accumulation of gold in the reserves and the behavior of gold over the past 12 months, and it didn't start with Trump's policies. Of course, it started with Biden when he froze the accounts of people connected to Putin.
Right.
And of course, thinking that it'd be limited there, but people not connected to Putin, so decided to stay away from a euro and a dollar, and gold is effectively now the reserve currency.
So
transactions take place in dollars, euros, usually dollars, and at the same rate. However, they get converted back into gold, and we can see it from the accumulation of reserves.
You know, it's interesting. Citigroup just this morning said the gold rally might hit a timeout this year. They said that it could start to retreat after running to near record highs
What do they know? How do they know? How do they know?
Well, that's my question to you. If you are afraid of where the U.S. deficit is, if you were concerned about the dollar, and at this point geopolitical risk, are you stockpiling gold? Even at this level?
Okay, I'm not a central bank, so, I mean, I think that with what's going on now, particularly with the new administration, the perception of America is the riskiness of America has increased. So on top of that move into gold that started with Biden, we have now a move into gold by people who are afraid of these policies, and
including central banks around the world, which doesn't look like it's going to let up.
Especially central banks around the world. So the dollar is a good transactional currency because people can label things in it, but not necessarily a storage currency. And this is what we're facing now.
So some great points here from Nassim Taleb. Even if technically the world is using the US dollar to continue to transact, and guys, they're converting it to gold immediately. He also says that America's sweeping sanctions against Russia for its invasion in Ukraine marked the beginning of the end of the dollar's reign as the world's reserve currency. According to Taleb, gold is now the world reserve currency, highlighting that the dollar's credibility eroded after America and its allies weaponized the US dollar. So I will link the full interview here in the description of the video for you guys. What do you think? Even if we do transact in USD, is this kind of the end? Is this why we are transitioning, guys? TradFi and real world assets. Think about it for a second. You do not need the US dollar anymore. What you do need is a cryptocurrency that can perform all these transactions on the blockchain. Of course, XRP is positioning itself to be that one cryptocurrency that moves at scale, but that's just my opinion. And for more opinions on where I think the market could go for this particular bull run, you can follow me at patreon.com/workingmoneychannel. Conversely, I do have the Working Money Channel merch store, guys. Link is in the description if you guys are interested in purchasing some Working Money Channel merch, but that's just my opinion. I want to hear what you guys think. Please subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Like the video if you like the content I'm providing. I always love hearing your comments. See you in the next one, guys.